Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Mental Health Awakening 2. And it's going to be today's topic is how I got here. And me and Angela are joined with Sellittia, and it's going to be a really good conversation talking about mental health. Sellitta's going to be sharing about a few experience of her own, and it's going to be really awesome to hear about it, and because I think Angela knows Salita a little bit better than me, so it's going to be really interesting to hear Salita's story. So, Angela, would you mind doing your little introduction?
I'm Angela T. Jackson, licensed professional counselor in the state of Tennessee with national certification. I'm in the USA, partnering with the USA, partnering with the UK. It's the UK connection. And I am your hostess with the mostest on mental health. So glad to be here today. Excited about our guest, ready to introduce her to you. Sellittia, tell us who you are.
Hello, Miss Angela, and hello, Mason. I am excited to be a part of your podcast today. My name is Sellittia Johnson. I work as a mental health therapist as well as a vocational rehabilitation counselor. I have a master's degree in mental health counseling, clinical mental health counseling, and I am just hyped up about serving people who have disabilities, whether it's mental health or physical health. I am reside in Tennessee, spending time with my grandbabies, doing ministry. I have a blog, wrote an ebook on how I got here, and I just I'm so excited right now. Yes.
Well, we are glad to have you, and we're not going to waste any time. Without further ado, we want you to lead us into how you got here. Tell us about your ebook.
So about 2 years ago, I living in Tennessee in Clarksville, and I was sitting at my house. It was a Sunday afternoon. I never forget. I was so frustrated about where my life was. Um, and take it. I felt like I had a really good life up until that point, but I continuously hit a moment of where I was just felt stuck. And I couldn't keep relationships with girlfriends, uh boyfriends, the kids. It was just like everything around me just felt like turmoil. And I remember sitting on the couch and I was just praying, like, how did I get here? Like, because I did this, looking back over my life, and I was like, I had some challenges, made some mistakes, but this cannot be it. This cannot be my final destination. And it's just like the Spirit of the Lord said, begin to write. Um, and I just sat down and I just began to just look at how did I get here? And it was some mental health challenges, um, dealing with some feelings of rejection, um, just going through all of looking back over those negative encounters. Yeah. And that's just how I got here, like right here. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And it fits right with the theme of this series, mental health awakening. Everything that you described from the moment you realized that you were feeling stuck, maybe the transitions or the struggles and challenges with different relationships. We sometimes we talk about healthy boundaries and how we get along with different people, but it applies to every type of relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So then leading to that, when you realize it was rejection, there comes a time where you have to do that self-evaluation and question what is going on in my life. Where am I, basically? Because it may not even look like who you thought you were or are or where you were supposed to be. So I like that it is just that clear how I got here.
Yeah.
Miss Angela, and you just to piggyback off what you said and I said about rejection, one thing I think that we miss, um, in counseling and as far as the ministry side, because everything I do, it goes back to kingdom, it goes back to God, is that rejection is something that starts in the womb. When you are carrying, when a baby is like put there, right, and is formed, like those relationships, because a baby can feed off what's going on with the mom, right? And if things are coming up where the baby's not feeling wanted, the daddy's not wanting her, the mom is having stress, the baby, it knows all that, right? So those first moments, I think with me, not that I wasn't wanted, but my mom was a young mom, my dad was young, and just going through all those emotions with my mom. I think that she had to not graduate with her senior class. So it was all that stuff that, dang, it started there. And then even as I got into elementary school, middle school, like I could track it all the way back to where it really became a problem as an adult. Because guess why? Our parents didn't understand about mental health counseling, or not realizing how trauma happened, and our kids they didn't know. So I
Yes, that's
carried
right.
all that into adulthood.
That's a perfect example of attachment. If I had to say it in one word, it would be attachment, because the way that we attach, or the way that we receive and then give from childhood on up, is how we connect to people as we become adults. So thank you for adding that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I really like what you said, Sellittia, with saying that it's not your final destination, because like I think it's really cool that you did your own ebook as well, because just saying how like it's not over and nothing ends until, well, everyone like everyone's last breath. So it's great that you've done that, and it's really warming when you say like it's not, this is not your final like stop, because there can be barriers, but like along the way, which can make you feel maybe that you want to stop because it's maybe really hard, but it's good that you keep fighting to continue, I think.
Yep. I think when we run across for years, right, it's just by habit what social media has ingrained in us. Then what we learned as kids, we sometimes think you made that one mistake, your whole life stops. But those mistakes, right, are really meant to push you. You just need somebody who can speak life into you and can help you go through the entire process of that mistake. Mistakes are meant to grow us. I remember making mistakes as a child, and people really, oh my God, you done that. Like to this day, still hearing about what I did when I was 18. I'm like, my brain wasn't even fully formed at 18, and you're holding that against me. But it's not anything we go through. Like it's. And I know people say, well, you can't get a do-over. But listen, my God is amazing and is a God of second chances. And he has taken some of my worst mistakes and have worked them out to my good, because I feel like now I'm at a really good place. I have a really good career. And some people, one of the mistakes I made, they would have said, oh, you would never get that job. But look how it worked out, right? I'm right here, right now, how I got here.
Right here. That's it. That's it. I tell you, you're absolutely right. The brain is not fully developed. That frontal lobe and the area where there's logic and the executive function, not even there yet at 18. We think it's children when we're children, right?
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
it. So
Definitely.
Sellittia, I want to dig into the book a little bit. I did read it. I did
Thank
read it.
you.
And oh my goodness, it's there were so many things in there that you share that are striking. And I want to dig a little bit into the mental health part. You were very transparent about seeking mental health care, a mental health journey as a whole, and then even something that's not discussed enough until there's a fatality. You talked about suicide attempts. So what can you share in those areas about your experience?
Listen, going back to the beginning, when there are certain challenges, early. And so that was the whole part about with me being different, and me really hating myself because I was different. I appreciate the differences now, but when you were a kid, you don't get it. And I remember, the first time I tried to commit suicide, and it was over something that was so silly. Like, looking back now, I'd be like, dang, that was silly. But that instance, looking back on it now, saying it was silly, makes me mindful of how I engage teenagers or young kids when they come to me and tell me something is bothering them. And it was just over something silly at school, and really not fitting in. I fit in with the church crowd, like that was my thing. But the other stuff I wanted to fit into, I was just awkward. So I went through that. Then the rejection, I felt rejected by a boy, right? It's silly. But again, I can engage girls and they say they got their heart broke. Like, okay, we're going to have this conversation. Now, I'm going to tell you what Sellittia the minister says, Sellittia the counselor, and then I'm just going to tell you, girl, you the bad. But since I went through that, I can really relate to how not being wanted, how somebody rejecting you, not one time, but 2 times, not being pretty enough, not being in a socioeconomic class as your peers. I was raised by a single mom, how all that plays a part. And I didn't have a mental health counselor. I had church. But honestly, it's some stuff you go through that you don't feel comfortable talking to people at church because they always tell you to pray about it. God got you. Well, what about if I don't know God like that? What about if I don't have the ability to pray myself through like that? So I did, as I got older, I really did understand the importance of having, seeking out mental health therapists. As you know, in the African American community, it's still like something you don't talk about a lot. Even again, going to church, there are things you can't share. And so coaching is now, and I think I found me some mentors who could actually help me to kind of coach me through and mentor me through a place to where I was able to seek the Lord differently. I think the biggest that moment for me was when I was in the mental health hospital. And I was in a mental health hospital, and it was just to see people in a mental health hospital. You see it on TV, right? And I'm like, dang, like this is really happening. And I remember it was time to eat, and I was hungry, and I had called one of my aunts who lived in Wilson County to bring me something to eat. But it was some people eating out of the trash can. And I was sitting at the table, and I was like, I don't have any problems. I was like, there are people seriously eating out of trash cans. And I'm here because I felt rejected. I was like, okay, I can't come back to this place. Like, I was looking at, I had a home.
Yeah.
I had family. And it was just the mental health portion that really makes you feel like you're isolated, right? But that moment I was like, I'm good. I checked myself out of the hospital, and I went home to start my journey of self-love and healing. And I know that was rambling, but
no, that was perfect. Sellittia, let me tell you, there is still such a stigma around mental, and it's always said it's around mental health. And I've even added, it's around mental health care. Now that people are normalizing the conversations and everybody's talking about it and everybody's coming to a level of awareness, there's still that hesitancy of what mental health care looks like. It's looked at so much differently than going to a doctor's appointment for physical issues or a dental appointment. So for you to characterize your experience being there, being in the hospital for mental health care, I appreciate you sharing that, you know. And whereas from where you were sitting, from your point of view, it was much different than someone else, that also speaks volumes, because everybody's level is different, you know. It didn't minimize what you were feeling or what you were experiencing or what you were experiencing. That was huge to you. Rejection was, you know, I would not minimize it one bit, you know, although as you described, it looked a lot different from someone who may have been hopeless, who didn't have supports, who didn't have food or resource for somebody to even bring them a plate. So it looks different, but oh my goodness, hurts. You know, that part, it feels the same. We all hurt. You know, it may look different. You know, healthy looks different for each of us. So I appreciate you giving that real glimpse.
Yeah, her rejection has been, I think, the cornerstone. 'Cause I think with the book, and I wrote, and I actually had did a blog about what all in rejection entails. Because if you ever fear rejection, like literally, you will have a healthy relationship. You will mess it up because you're preparing for the rejection. It's like,
that's right.
I finally had to admit, of course, on my, my social media platform, I'm very transparent. And for the people who know me, I give a glimpse into my real life. And one day I had to admit why I hang up the phone in people's faces. Like, people are like, you just so rude. You hang up the phone on people. But you know why I hang up the phone? Is because I don't want to be rejected first. To me, somebody ending the phone call mirrors rejection. So I'm going to get out the phone. I'm going to get out the phone before you tell me you have to get out the phone. Ain't that silly? How it just comes up in like the smallest little part of your life. And you be like, wow. Like, I literally. So now I can tell people I didn't hang up because I was rude. I hang up because I didn't want you to hang up on me first.
Wow. Now, you know what? Mason, I've got to pull you into this one. So I have known, I can't even think right in this moment how long I've known Sellittia, but it's been over 10 years now.
Yes.
And along the way, I used to, and it's so interesting because we really have to grow to learn ourselves and how we tick and how we work. And I used to always ask myself, it's so noticeable. She would hang up the phone without even saying bye. I'm sitting there with my mouth half open. And so at that point, I thought, oh my goodness. Now I have felt a level of rejection, but of course we would talk about it and laugh about it, but that totally makes sense, because there's that avoidant behavior that says, okay, exactly like what you said, to your point, I'm anticipating being rejected. I'm anticipating being mistreated. I'm anticipating this unwanted feeling. So I have got to get past it first. I'm going to avoid that by acting first. I get it. There's the missing link that I needed.
It is. I'm telling you, I can look back now and it's just little behaviors I have. And it's all for a reason, like not maintaining healthy relationships, male or female. Last 2021, I went on a quest, and it's somewhere on my social media where I was determined to make friends. I said, I'm going to make friends this year. It's going to be a healthy relationship. I'm not going to sabotage it. But because I realized that because I was so rejected, I didn't love me, because all the stuff people say about you, people used to say, sticks and stones may break my bones, words will never hurt me. Lies, lies, lies. I was gravitating and believing what people said, so I couldn't have a healthy relationship with nobody. You know, even with my parents, it was just turmoil, but it wasn't so much them as my own feelings and attitude about rejection. So I would start arguments because I knew it was coming. You were going to find something. Or if a friend was like, Sellittia, you know, you really did this, I would already have my excuse in my head why I done it. And it was just, and I had to get committed to admitting that I was the problem and being committed to having healthy relationships, not based on my rejection, but because we need people, right? And then the other aspect was because after you become a counselor, you become the counselor to all your friends. So they're spilling all their junk on you, and you realizing, oh my goodness, I am really the problem. And I just had to change a lot of stuff, how I got here. Because if I hadn't changed that and really allowed the Lord to sit me down and write the book, I would probably still be in that stuck place, sitting in my garage on the couch, looking like no progress, none whatsoever. Still broke, still in bankruptcy, still with no friends, still with bad relationships. But it's just a lot. It's been a lot of unpacking for me.
Yeah. I think it's really hard to change though, isn't it? It does take quite a long time to change certain things because you get used to it, and then you may think, is there any point of changing it? Because it may be too much effort. It may take like a long time, but I think that's like a lot of things where you take your time to change something. Like maybe like your thoughts, perhaps like your thoughts and process. Like if you're thinking everything's like really bad, and I completely understand what you're saying about like phone and ending it first, because like you probably depending who you're on the phone to, um um you would maybe think to yourself like, how long do you think you're gonna be on the phone? If is it a call to someone just saying, I'm gonna be home in 5 minutes, or is it someone like a friend that you're gonna speak to for a little while? And then you probably process how long that call's gonna be, and then you will say, I've got. You might not even say I'm gonna go. You'll just end it like you said, which makes perfect sense because it is. I don't know. It just like it reminds me of me. I don't do it with like phone, but I'll do it with other things. I'll process like maybe sounds, like sounds I don't like, and I'll go away or something like that. So I completely understand.
And I'm glad because you said process it. I'm like you. I will process a whole conversation that hasn't happened. Like in my mind, that mental health kick in. I'm gonna be very transparent. I will process it, but and in my healthy mind, I tell myself the reason I'm doing it is because it could go either way. I'm gonna think about all the bad stuff and process it. That way, if it's good, it's gonna be a win for me. But if it's bad, I'll be preparing myself, not realizing processing everything to the bad is probably what causes the bad stuff to happen. It's just like with this podcast. I went through every reason why I couldn't do a podcast. Process, and people are gonna laugh at me. People gonna see me, or I don't have anything to add. in those little voices that we have, the negative mental health. I start running through every negative thing you've ever done. Where if you get on there and you talk about mental health, when you get through, people gonna call you crazy. It's gonna affect your career. It's gonna, like, all the bad stuff, not realizing that when we tell our story, not only does it help us overcome, it's helping somebody else. But we process all the bad things. And we really have to train our mind to cast down, to throw away those thoughts. Literally, I'm growing, and I really want to help everybody get here, because I'm finna turn 50, and this has been a lifelong struggle. But now I can literally visualize myself with those thoughts, balling them up and throwing them in the trash. Like, I can visualize that. But years ago, I couldn't visualize it. Like, I would walk right into it because I wasn't trained. And that's why it is so important that we have trained professionals, that we can refer people to help them throw away those thoughts, identify the root cause of those thoughts, and to help you make better choices. It took years, like this. I'm true to this. This has been a lifelong. I think at age 16, when I first tried to commit suicide, when I first knew that something was going on that wasn't just spiritual, I was 16 years old, right? And I just started, like, I can go back to those moments and be like, wow, like every major incident in my life, there is a timestamp. And I think we'll say sometimes maturity stops at the place of trauma. And then you have to go back and really deal with it, because if you don't, you can't mature to the next place. I tell people, to that promised place God has created for you, if you don't deal with that trauma and that timestamp.
Yes. I love that you said timestamp. And it does, it will stunt the growth. You have to go back and, as you said before, unpack. There's that that guidance, that tarrying, so to speak, sitting, staying with a person so that they can unpack. Oh, wow. Wow. You have shared so many different volumes. It has been a journey for you, and everybody's here. I know the listeners can't see my air quotes, but here looks different for everybody. So tell us what here looks like. Tell us what that awareness or that mindfulness or that freedom looks like for you.
Oh, wow. I have been able to maintain some healthy relationships. I have gotten better at setting boundaries and not violating other people's boundaries. Here looks I'm enjoying my peace. One thing about mental health is that a person who has dealt with it, you start to enjoy the chaos. And yeah, you're like, oh, but now I've started to respect my peace, my space. And now here looks like I don't enjoy the chaos. Like, when I'm put in the chaos, I literally, my supervisor told me the other day, she said, Sellittia, when something gets difficult or whatever, you have to step back. Yes, I have. I got to retreat. I have to go. I think my career's better. I'm on a good career track. I'm able to help more people. And I believe that ministry, another part, I asked God to throw away everything that I knew about him. Literally, God, I want you to take everything I thought I knew about you, everything I thought I knew about me, and I want to start over. I want to learn you differently. Being here has really allowed me to learn the different characteristics of God. and really learn him based on what is healthy, here looks good. Here is prosperous being here. Mental health, bipolar disorder, you go through a lot of money, right? Being here, I have a savings account. Being here,
That's wonderful.
being here, I have a 401k. Where when I was there, because of my mental health, I was robbing Peter to pay Paul, always in bankruptcy, always something. Here looks real good. And I'm thankful for being here is allowing me to help people. Because when I was there, I thought I was helping people. I was making a mess. I was helping them make a mess of their own mess. But being here, I'm actually helping. Being here, I've been able to connect to this an amazing coach. And being here, like, has opened the platforms here on the podcast that I never would have been afforded an opportunity had I still been there. So being here, it looks good.
I love it.
Good.
I love it.
Me too. I think I love that as well, because it's good you're here, because like you say, if you wasn't here, we wouldn't be talking about a book or your story, or like how when, like, maybe 20 years ago you wouldn't thought about doing this, or even thought maybe coming on a podcast, which is great, like, because like now you can say you've been on one. You tell everyone I've been on podcast now.
Listen, and I'm
That's
excited. One thing I am grateful for, and with anybody dealing with mental health, know that before you were formed inside the womb, God already knew you. He already knew your track. Nothing is new. Like, he knew you were going to struggle with mental health. He knew you was going to struggle with addiction. He knew you were going to have rejection. He knew you were going to be depressed. Nothing new. You just have to find your tribe of people who can accept the part of your journey and help walk you through the wilderness. So many times, I think one thing that was phenomenal, even with being a mental health therapist, a counselor, looking back, I've always been this. I've always been the person I am now. I've always been this person. I just didn't know how to be this person because I had my own trauma. And the most remarkable thing that I have loved about my journey, the mental health, the suicide attempts, is because it gives me the knowledge to minister to somebody else. Because I'm very transparent. I'm open about it. Yeah, I dealt with that. And the looking for love in the wrong places. When young girls come to me to talk about alternative lifestyles they've led, I can talk about that. And I can really, so all those experiences that led me here have just opened up opportunities and in different ways to allow me to minister to other people who are on the same journey. Like, the stuff in that book is all real. I want to finish the book, right? Because there's so much more to add. But even with my daughters, and sometimes mother and daughter relationships, we have a whole different thing. But when my daughters come to me and be like, Mama, this is what I'm dealing with, and sometimes they don't even have to come to me. I can see it. And I go to them, be like, hey, what you struggling with today? Or did you do this? And even though I can't mentor or counsel them to that aspect, let me connect you with somebody full of resources. So the journey has been helpful in a lot of ways.
Yeah. The things that we go through in life, we don't see it in the moment. We don't see it in the struggle or in the circumstance, but it really does work together for our good. And it makes you the perfect advocate for other people who look just like you, who have had the same experience. And when I say look like you, I mean as far as a life that you have led, And those journeys, oh my goodness, they are for other people to overcome. Sometimes we question, there's the why, oh my goodness, how did I get where I am, whatever that place of struggle, whatever that trench is that we're in at the moment. But once we grow from that, and as you mentioned, being in whether it's community mental health or being an advocate or being a support, you can almost see and feel a person's spirit, and you're attracting people who look just like you, who have been through those experiences, so you're able to lead and guide more efficiently and effectively in their lives. So, hey, love it. I appreciate you sharing, because someone listening, someone watching is going through a mental health struggle. Someone is watching that maybe had supports, but they felt disconnected, or they felt like they were going through the motions. Maybe they're involved in different activities on a job or in church, and they're showing up, but not to their fullest potential.
Yep.
They're being held hostage in their own minds a lot of times. So yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
Potential. And that's all the years I wasn't. And, going back to the rejection, because people was telling me what my potential was. And so now I'm very careful, even with my children. We're not letting other people tell you your potential. You tell me what your potential is, and I'm going to help you reach it. I do not allow people to come and tell me my potential. If you're not speaking life and I can be better, no. I'm going to tell you, I am driven when people tell me I can't. Now, when somebody tells me you've reached your potential, oh no, I got some more in me. Like, I push myself. Right. Because I know that if I allow somebody to tell me my capacity or my potential, guess what? That mental health, that whole cycle is going to start all over again. Now, you say some stuff to me, I'm going to think about it. I got to process it, Mason. I'm going to process it. Yeah. Then I'll be like, you know what they said to me? Oh, no, that ain't even working. I found me a scripture, hit me a prayer, give me some resources, and the thing you told me I couldn't, it's going to be done.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Someone else, they will limit you to their perspective. They can only see as far as what they have accomplished. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Always limiting someone else's opinion of you, or someone else's even perspective as far as direction will always have limits compared to what God has for your life.
I told God, even for my little cousins in my circle, I don't just, when I pray for them, it's not just, oh my God, please bless my cousin Nana or my cousin Ava. No, God, I'm going to call them by who you says they are. If that's doctor, I literally pray it. If it's prophet, I literally pray it, because we are our biggest circle's cheerleaders, right? And we have to ask God, show me what you see. And I want to see what God sees in you, because we're going to reach the potential of what God says. We're not going to focus. We're going to deal with the mental health, but we're also going to see, this is what God says. And I'm going to teach you how to pray, so you will know what God says. Because if you don't, like you said, you will always be limited by people. And God has no limits. There is a promised place for us. And I want to get to that place.
Absolutely. Sellittia, you have dropped so many gems, so many valuable nuggets. If you had a suggestion, a tip, or something to motivate someone who's watching or listening, what would you say to them while they're in a place of stuck, while they're there where they are?
I would tell them that they're not alone. If you do not have what you need in your immediate circle, you can get on Facebook. Instagram, TikTok, and find somebody who you feel connected to go. I will share with them my journey, how I found my coach. It was by the sound of her voice. And when I interviewed with her, she said, well, why did you choose me? I said, because I heard your voice. And in your voice is something I need. Find somebody who has what you need. Don't try to find somebody because they look good, because they got an amazing platform. Make it pure and find somebody who can really take the time to coach you out of your stuck place. And be open to take the wisdom. Everybody who is giving you wisdom or criticism, it's not negative. That was also a flaw. I viewed everything negatively. Take that wisdom that they're dropping, those pearls of wisdom, and apply it to your life and lose that offensive spirit. That is what I would tell them.
Awesome.
That is some really good advice. And I think a lot of people who are listening or are watching will take something from that. And like we say, we're always helping someone. At least if we help someone, that's our job done. But before we go,
Yes.
Sellittia, would you like to share like where maybe people can find you if they want to contact you or anything like that?
Yes. So first of all, the book, How I Got Here, is available on Amazon. A very easy, short read. I have a blog site. The blog address is DFORSvisions.com. Wonderful blog, some good reading. Facebook, my social media platforms are all public. It's Sellittia, last name Johnson. You can find me on Pinterest. My email address for my business is the letter D as in dog, FORS visions@gmail.com.
Thank you. And to anyone who is watching, listening, go and find Sellittia and read her book if you want to, because it's awesome. And today we've only, I think, we've only heard some of Sellittia's really inspirational journey from it, and it'd be great to hear more like another time. But yeah, I definitely will have to check out that Sellittia. Because I know Andrew's already read it, so
Yes.
and Andrew, do you have anything lastly to finish? Anything else you want to say?
I want to just thank our special guest for being here today. She has been phenomenal. She can now let this sink in. You can now call yourself an international speaker if you haven't already. This has been an amazing experience. You have definitely brought some value to this series for Mental Health Awakening too. This has been amazing. We appreciate you.
Hey, thank you guys for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and it's been really awesome to talk to you, Sellittia, because it's like, I think we've all learned something today from each other. So it is. I think that's the best part of it. Like they say, we learn something every day, which is true. We do. But to anyone who's watching or listening, we hope you've enjoyed it as much as us on Mental Health Awakening 2, which actually, as this time recording, Sellittia is actually our first guest. Not sure what order it will all go out. We haven't decided that yet as time recording, but Sellittia can say she's the first guest of this year's Mental Health Awakening 2. So that's really cool. So thanks again, Sellittia, for joining us, and we hope you have a nice rest of your day.
All right, see y'all later. Thank you.
Thank you.